She entered the confessional at 9 at night. I was about to lock the church. When I saw her kneel before the grid, I felt something was wrong. It was not the time, neither the silence. It was the way she held her third, as if it were the last thing that kept her standing. As if you let out those beads, it would completely collapse. And the ship's light was already faded. Only the candles of the altar were left, brugulating at the bottom of the church. The smell of wax mixed with old wood, and something else, a damp odor, mold, of rain attached to the old walls, the kind of silence that weighs on the shoulders, that sticks to the skin. I heard your steps before seeing her, slow, dragged, as if each meter were a condemnation. The echo beat the columns, came back, hit again. When she entered the confessional, he said nothing, just knelt, and stayed there, tremendous. I could hear her breath, irregular, pray, as if fighting something inside her chest. I had heard a lot of confessions over the years. Adulteries, lies, small thefts, sins that fit in 3 Hail Marys and 1 Father. Some people cry, others laugh nervous. There are those who get in with anger and leave in peace. But that woman, she didn't seem to be there for any of this. There was something deeper, something that weighed so much that she could barely breathe. I saw her fingers through the grid, white, squeezing the third so hard that I thought they were going to break the bills. I waited. I didn't hurry. I learned over time that when someone takes time to speak, it's because what comes, it's serious. It is because words cost, and once said, they don't come back. Through the grid cracks, I managed to see some of her face, pale, deep dark circles, hair stuck anyway. She should be about 40, but it looked 10 more. He wore a clear blouse, belated, jeans, no makeup, no jewelry, only the third, and the shaking hands. She didn't look at me. He kept his eyes fixed on the floor, as if he were ashamed to breathe. Father, I don't know if God still listens to me. Her voice was almost inaudible, hoarse, as if it had cried for days, weeks maybe. He always listens, my daughter, I said, keeping his tone calm. No matter what you did, he can talk. She shook her head. You don't understand. I don't deserve to be here. I do not deserve acquittal. I don't deserve peace. I adjusted the posture. I had heard this before. People who condemned themselves even before they confessed. God does not measure, my daughter. He measures regret. If it's here, it's because you still have faith. She released a low laugh. Bitter. Faith. I don't know if it's faith, priest. I think it's despair. Pause. Or fear. Adeng, she inspired deep. He squeezed his third between his fingers. I did something terrible. Something I can't carry alone. I waited. She continued. I lied. I lied to everyone, to my family, to my husband, for the police. I lied on him. About my son. I felt the air change, as if the temperature within the confessional had suddenly fallen. Your child? I asked with caution. She nodded. Lucas. He was 16 years. Swallowed dry. He disappeared 6 months ago. It was at this moment that I realized. She trembled as she held her third in her hands. I thought I cried for a common sin, something that could be acquitted with prayers and repentance. But every phrase she released, each pause, each muffled sob, it brought more weight. I felt, at the bottom of the chest, that what she was about to reveal. It was going to destroy everything I believed about regret, about forgiveness, about what a mother is able to do. The police sought. Everyone came to. They made posters, search. Even divers went to Rio. She paused. My husband, he doesn't sleep anymore. Passed the nights on the computer looking for missing sites, sending photos everywhere. My mother, she fell ill, had a stroke. It was hospitalized 2 weeks. The neighbors made a kitty to help with the costs. Everyone mobilized. She lifted her head and looked at me for the first time. And I left. I let them look. I let them suffer. I let them spend money. I let my husband lose his job because I could no longer focus. I frowned. Why are you blaming yourself, my daughter? You didn't make any of this happen. A disappearance is not the mother's fault. She closed her eyes. He squeezed the third even stronger. Father, I knew where he was, all the time. My heart leaned. It was not fear. It was a restlessness, as when you feel you are listening to something that should not, something that will mark you, that will haunt you. I straightened in the chair. I took a deep breath. The hands sweated. I cleaned them discreetly in the cassock. What do you mean by knew? She did not answer immediately, just stayed there, squeezing the third, the nodes of the white fingers of so much force, the accounts crackling slightly. He didn't run away from home, priest. He was not kidnapped. He didn't fall into the river. No one took him. She inspired deep. He never left home. I felt a cold climb through the spine, a cold that started on the feet and climbed to the back of the neck. What do you mean, never left? She shook her head. He's there, in the basement. I put him there. The silence that followed was unbearable. I wanted to get up, I wanted to scream, I wanted to run and call someone, the police, somebody, but could not. The confessional is a sacred place. What is said there, dies there, even if it donates, even if you burn, even if it destroys. I took a deep breath. I closed my eyes for a second. I asked strength. I forced my voice to come out calmly. My daughter, what are you telling me? What is he, alive? She sobbed. I didn't want to, priest. I swear to God I didn't want to. But he discovered. I leaned a little forward. What did you find out? Silence. My daughter, did you find out what? She cleaned her face with her back. He saw the box I hid in the bedroom closet, in the background, under the old blankets. I thought no one was going to move there, but he was looking for something, and found it. What was in the box? I asked, feeling my throat dry. She hesitated. He shook his head. I can't say, not yet, but it was evidence, proof of something I did a long time ago, something no one knows. Not my husband, not my mother, nobody. She took a deep breath. If anyone knows, my life is over, and other people's too. I felt the weight of those words, like a stone in the chest. And Lucas, what did he do when he saw? She looked up, and there was so much scared there, so much regret. He looked at me in a way that I will never forget, as if I were a monster, and maybe he was right. I waited. Every second hurt. He said he was going to tell police, she continued. That was going to give me, that I deserved to pay for what I did, and I panicked. I felt my body freeze. What did you do? She closed her eyes. I locked him in the basement, just for a few hours, only until he calms down, just until I think of something, but she stopped, trembled stronger. But I couldn't let him leave, because if I left, everything would collapse. My wedding, my family, my life. She sobbed loudly. And now, he's still there, 6 months ago, and I don't know what else to do. I couldn't answer. I was there, paralyzed, trying to understand what she had just said. Lucas saw something so serious, that the mother herself locked him for 6 months, while everyone was looking for, while the family was destroyed. She continued, her voice almost disappeared. Father, I didn't come here to deliver myself. I came because he's still there, and I don't know if he is still. She didn't finish the sentence. I didn't need to. The candles traveled on the altar. The wind knocked on the church door, and I realized that the worst had not yet been said. 6 months. This phrase was echoing in my head. 6 months locked. In the basement of the house itself, while the family crumbly, while the father lost his job, while the grandmother had a stroke, and she pretended to suffer the same. I cried in the search, hugged the neighbors, light candles, and then I would come home, locked the door, and went down to the basement, where the son was, alive, arrested, forgotten by the world, but not for her. I had to take a deep breath before speaking. My throat was dry, the hands cold. I had already heard difficult confessions, but that was different, because it was not a crime of impulse. It was not anger. It was not uncontrolled. It was premeditated, calculated, sustained for 6 months of lies. My daughter, are you telling me that your son is locked, alive, in the basement of your house? She nodded, slowly. Yes, priest, alive. The word alive sounded strange, as if she wasn't sure herself, or as if they wanted to be convinced of it. I observed her movements through the grid. She didn't cry anymore. It was numb, as if I had told that so many times to herself, that I didn't feel anything anymore. Her fingers released her third. They dropped on their lap. The hands shake, but the face was frozen, without expression, as if I had learned to hide everything, to protect yourself. She straightened her hair behind her ear. I just nervous, automatic, as if in a normal conversation, as if he had not just confessed that he kept his son imprisoned. How is he? I asked, trying to keep my voice firm. She was slow to answer. He looked at his own hands, passed the thumb over the palm, as if clearing something invisible. Okay, as far as possible. I frowned. As far as possible? She straightened her hair again. I go down every day. I take food, water, clean sheets. He has a mattress, a bucket, a lamp. It's not like I had abandoned him. I heard that and felt nausea. She spoke as if describing a pet. I take food. He has a mattress. As if it softened. How to take care of the horror of what I was doing. I wanted to scream. I wanted to get up, call someone, but something held me there. Perhaps curiosity, maybe the fear, or maybe the need to understand. How does a mother reach this point? And won't he try to leave? I asked. She shook her head, slowly. At first, yes. He screamed. It knocked on the door. Cried. I begged. He said he was going to die below, that I was crazy, that he hated. She paused, swallowed dry. But now, he doesn't do any more of that. Stay quiet. Sometimes I go down, and he doesn't even look at me. Just stay there. lying down, on the back, looking at the ceiling. I leaned a little further. And your husband? Did he never suspect? Never tried to enter the basement? She released a short laugh, bitter, almost inaudible. The basement is locked on the outside, with lock. I told him that the door was having a problem, that it was going to fall. That was dangerous. That was going to call someone to fix. She looked at her own hands. He believed. Because you never had a reason to doubt me. Pause. And because he's so consumed by the search that doesn't pay attention to anything else. I felt a tightness in my chest. And the food? How do you take it without him noticing? She sighed. I wake up at dawn, 3 in the morning, when he is sleeping deeply. I go down the stairs slowly, decase the lock. I leave things, I'll be back. I lock it all over again. She paused. Sometimes I stay there a few minutes, looking at him, trying to remember, as it was before. First of all, I tried to imagine the scene. A mother down the stairs in the middle of the dawn, with a plate of food, a bottle of water, opening the door of a dark basement, and finding the son, lying down, lifeless in the eyes, hopeless, no future, and she just leaving things there, as those who feed a prisoner, or worse, like those who feed a secret. Does he talk to you? I asked, breaking the silence. She shook her head. No more. In the beginning, yes. He screamed. I cursed me. I said I was a monster, that he was going out, that was going to denounce me, that I was going to pay. She paused. But after a few weeks, he stopped. It started to be quiet, to eat less, sleeping more. Sometimes, I go down, and he's just looking at the wall, without blinking, as if I had given up, as if he had accepted. I felt cold through my spine, a cold that didn't come from the wind, but from within, of the horror of that image. Did you never think about letting him leave? I asked, knowing the answer. She looked at me, and for the first time, I saw something close to despair in her eyes. It was not regret. It was not guilty. It was fear. Every day, priest. Every holy day. I wake up thinking about it. I'm going to sleep thinking about it. But then I remember. She paused. It took a deep breath. I remember what he saw. Then he knows. And I can't. Because if he leaves, everything is over. My wedding, my family, my life, the lives of other people. She closed her eyes. And I know it makes me a monster, but I can't choose differently. I am unable. How is the basement? I asked, almost unintentionally. How to know the space made any difference? She inspired deep, small, very small, about 3 meters for 3, damp, always damp, even in summer, cold. It has a tall window, but I covered with boards. I preached very hard, for no one to hear if he screams, and for him not to see the street, do not see the sun. Pause. It smells like mold, closed, of body. I put a bucket with disinfectant to improve, but it is no use much. She looked at her own hands again. Sometimes, when I go down, the smell is so strong that I want to vomit, but I cannot demonstrate, because if he realizes that I'm weak, he will try something. I frowned. Try what? She hesitated. Once, he tried to attack me. When I opened the door, he threw himself at me, tried to knock me down. He scratched my arm. She lifted her sleeve. Even through the grid, I saw the brands. Thin S, old, but still visible. After that, I started leaving the food on the door, without entering, without looking at him. I felt the weight of the situation crush me. What she was describing, it was torture. It was imprisonment. It was inhuman. But at the same time, she was there, confessing, seeking something. Forgiveness, absolution, or just someone to share the weight. My daughter, do you understand that this cannot continue? She nodded. I know, Father. I know. But I don't know how to stop. Because stopping means losing everything. And continuing means losing myself. She took a deep breath. Sometimes, I think I've lost. That there is nothing left of me. Only this bark. That pretends. What a mind. That goes down the stairs at dawn. I took a deep breath. I tried to organize the thoughts. You need to tell me what was in the box. She closed her eyes. He squeezed his fists. They were photos. Old photos. Of 15 years ago. From me. With someone else. She paused. And there were documents. Certificates. Letters. Things that, if they come out. She stopped. Swallowed dry. They will destroy more than just me. I frowned. Certificates of what? She hesitated. He looked at the grid. Then for the church door. As if you wanted to escape. But it didn't run away. Just whispered. Birth. My heart accelerated. From who? She opened her eyes and looked at me directly. Of a child who, officially, it doesn't exist. The silence that followed was deafening. I could hear my own heart beating. The candles on the altar crack. The wind outside. But within the confessional, just silence. What does it mean by, it doesn't exist? I asked, with a voice almost disappeared. She took a deep breath. Lucas is not an only child, priest. He has a sister. Or, I had. She stopped. He looked at his own hands. I had another daughter, before him, when I was 20. 3 years. No one knows. Not my husband. Not my mother. Nobody. I felt the air, miss. What do you mean nobody knows? She closed her eyes. Because I hid the pregnancy. I hid the delivery. I hid everything. Long pause. And then, I gave it. My God. I couldn't sue. Did you give the child? She nodded. But it wasn't cool adoption. It was not by agency. It was not official. It was private. With someone I knew. Someone who needed. I recorded that. Someone who needed. Then, there was someone else. A woman, probably. Who received the child? Is this person still alive? She hesitated. Yes. And she can't know that Lucas found out. Because if you know, she stopped. He shook his head. No, I can't talk about her yet. But she has a lot to lose too. I felt the tension increase. And Lucas, when you saw the certificate, he got it? She nodded. He read the name. Dwarf, Anna Beatrice. And he asked me. Pause. Mom, who is Anna? And I couldn't lie. Not for him. Not at that moment. So I told you. I told you everything. She took a deep breath. He was shocked. He said nothing for a few minutes. Just looked at me, as if you were seeing a stranger. Then, he started asking questions. Where is she? Why did you do that? The father knows? The grandmother knows? And every question, it was a stab. She paused. And then, he said something that destroyed me. She looked at me, with eyes full of tears. He said, Mom, what did you do with Anna? Know where she is, but what you did. As if you know. As if I realized something I hid even from myself. And what did you do? I asked, feeling the weight of the question. She shook her head. I can't say now. Not yet. But Lucas, when I didn't answer, he understood, and it was horrified. Long pause. He said he was going to tell the police. I was going to report that I deserved to pay, and it was there, that I panicked. She got up, slowly, as if he was carrying the world on his back. I'll be back tomorrow, priest, to tell the rest, if you can hear me to the end. I didn't answer. I just watched her out. The door of the Ranja's confessional. The steps echoed in the ship, and then, silence. But the question was, echoing, hammering. What did you do with Anna? And I wasn't sure if I wanted to know. She came back, at the same time, 9 at night, when the church was already empty, when the shadows were denser than the light. I had spent all day thinking about her, in confession, in Lucas, in the basement, and especially, in Anna, the child who did not exist, officially, but it existed, somewhere, for some time, until, I wasn't sure what happened, but something in the way she said, in the way Lucas reacted, it told me that the answer was terrible, worse than I could imagine. I heard her footsteps before seeing her, slower than the day before, heavier, as if carrying that secret had doubled the weight of the body. She entered the confessional without saying anything, kneeling, stayed there, still. I waited. I didn't hurry, because I knew that what would come now would be worse, much worse. Her breath was irregular, intertwined, as if it had run, or as if fighting against his own body to continue there. The hands trembled more than before. She didn't hold her third, just kept his fists closed, tight, as if trying to contain something inside. Through the grid, I managed to see her face better, and I realized she was different, pale, the eyes, even more back, as if I had not slept, maybe for days. The cracked lips, the skin, dry, as if he had spent hours crying, or maybe unable to cry anymore. She wore the same outfit as the day before, belated, stained, as if he had a hurry dressed, or simply had not changed. Father, I didn't sleep. The voice came out weak, almost inaudible. I stayed all night thinking, if I should go back, if I should continue. Pause. But I need it. I need someone to know, even if the Lord hates me later. I took a deep breath. I'm not here to judge my daughter. I'm here to listen. She shook her head, slowly. I don't know if it's possible to hear, and don't judge. Not after what I'm going to say. She looked at her own hands. Because I don't know if I deserve to be heard. I don't know if I deserve it. Anything. I felt cold through my spine. The same sensation of the day before, but now, more intense, more present. As if the weight of what she carried had expanded, had taken the space around. I straightened in the chair. I put my hands on my lap. I tried to keep my voice firm. Continue. She inspired deep, treated. Yesterday, I told about Anna, about the daughter I had, and that no one knows. She paused, but I didn't tell what happened to her. I didn't tell the whole truth. My heart accelerated. Where is she now? Silence, far away, heavy, unbearable, the kind of silence that hurts, that chokes. Then she whispered, I don't know, Father. I don't know. I frowned. What do you mean you don't know? Didn't you say you gave it to someone? She nodded. I gave it. But it wasn't the way I told you yesterday. It wasn't simple as that. Pause. I lied. Or rather, I omitted. She looked at her own hands. The nails, rolls, dry blood in the cuticles, because the truth is much worse. And I didn't want to admit. Not for me. I felt my throat dry. What do you mean? She took a deep breath. When I got pregnant, I was 23. It was in a relationship, complicated, with a married man. She paused. He looked at the grid. He was older. It was 42. It had family, children, an entire life built. And when I told me I was pregnant, she closed her eyes. He disappeared. It disappeared, blocked my number, never answered again, as if I had never existed. I was alone, completely alone. No money, no fixed job, no family to use. My mother, she would never accept. She is rigid, religious. If I knew I was pregnant with a married man, she would expel me from home. I would call me horrible things. Pause. So I hid. I wore wide clothes. I lied that it was overweight. I avoided leaving home. And when the belly got too big, I pretended to be sick. That had an infection. That needed to be isolated. She took a deep breath. And no one suspected, because I was always good to hide. In lying. In pretending that everything is fine, even when everything is crumbling. She ran her hand over her face. He cleaned something invisible, or maybe tried to erase the memory. I spent the days locked in the room, reading about delivery, watching videos, preparing me to do it alone, because I couldn't go to the hospital. I couldn't let anyone know. Pause. And when the time came, she stopped. The voice disappeared. I waited. When the time came, I thought I was going to die. Revelation, childbirth. And when the time has come, what did you do? I asked with caution. She was slow to answer. He looked at the floor. I had the baby alone, in the bathroom of my house, at dawn, 3 in the morning, while my mother slept in the next room. My God, I felt nausea. Alone? She nodded. I bit a towel so as not to scream. I held on the edges of the bathtub, and when she was born, she stopped. The voice trembled. When she was born, I couldn't look at her, because I knew I couldn't stay with her. I had no way, that I was going, having to get rid of it, somehow. I tried to imagine, a young woman of 23 years, alone, in the bathroom, giving the light, without help, without a doctor, without anyone, the pain, the fear, the despair, and then, holding a child who could not have, that could not love, that could not exist. What did you do to her? I asked, almost unintentionally. She cleaned her face with her back. I cleaned her. I wrapped in a towel. She was quiet. It didn't cry much, just looked, as if knew. Pause. And I put in a box, a cardboard box, with blankets inside, and I waited until dawn, looking at her, trying, feel something, but I just felt empty. And then, she took a deep breath. So, I called the only person I thought I could help, my cousin, Letitia. She lived in another city, 3 hours by car, and I knew that she couldn't have children, which I had tried for years. Fertilization, treatments, nothing worked, and she was desperate. Pause. So I called, at 7 in the morning, and I said that I had a solution. I frowned. Did you offer the baby? She shook her head. Not exactly. I said I knew someone who had just had a baby, but couldn't stay with her. That was a difficult situation. That was urgent, and that, if she wanted, she could stay, no questions, without paperwork, with nothing. And she accepted? I asked, already knowing the answer. She nodded, without asking anything, without question. She just said, when? And I said, today. Now. Pause. She came the same day. He left home immediately. He drove 3 hours without stopping. Arrived in the afternoon, with her eyes swollen, tremendous, as if you didn't believe it. She looked at me, and in her eyes, there was something beyond sadness. There was horror. I didn't even let her see my face right. I put a handkerchief, sunglasses. I pretended to be someone else, an intermediate. And when she took the box, when she opened and saw the baby, she cried so much, and said, thank you, God bless you, as if I had done a favor, as if I had saved her. Long pause. But I didn't do it, priest. I got rid of my daughter, as if it were a problem, as if it weren't human, as if it didn't matter. I felt the weight of those words, like a stone in the chest, as if the air had become denser, heavier. I took a deep breath. I tried to keep my voice calm. And then, did you keep in touch? She shook her head. No, I avoided Letitia for years, did not answer calls. I didn't go to family meetings. I changed town shortly after. I met my husband. I got pregnant with Lucas, and pretended that Anna never existed. Pause. Until, she stopped, swallowed dry. Until 5 years ago, Letitia found me. My heart fired. What did she want? She took a deep breath. He closed his eyes. She was sick, cancer, terminal stage. The doctors gave 6 months, and she said she needed to tell me something about Anna, something that would destroy me. I felt the blood freeze. What? She looked at me, and for the first time, I saw pure fear in her eyes. Fear of saying, fear of remembering, fear of revive. She told me that Anna died. Silence. Absolute. Heavy. Suffocating. I couldn't speak. Just, I heard. She said Anna was 3 years old, who was playing in the backyard. That fell into the pool. And when Letitia noticed, it was late. Long pause. She asked me forgiveness. Cry. Knelt in front of me. He said it had not been her fault, which was an accident, that she loved Anna, as if it were hers. But she stopped. The voice disappeared. I didn't believe it. Why didn't you believe? I asked, almost whispering. She shook her head. Because I saw her eyes, and there was something wrong, something slippery, as if she was hiding something, as if the story was not complete. Pause. And then, before you die, 2 weeks before, she gave me a box, the same box that Lucas found. She looked at her own hands. Inside, there were photos, from Anna, baby, smiling, small child, with beautiful clothes, toys, and, she stopped, and there was a death certificate. But the date didn't beat what she had told me. I frowned. I felt the heart accelerate. Like this. She took a deep breath. Letitia said Anna died at the age of 3, but the certificate said she died at both of them. And the place, it was not the city of Letitia. It wasn't, nor close. It was another state, a place I never heard of, a hospital that, when I searched, she stopped. No, it existed more. It had been closed, years ago, for irregularities. I felt the world spin. What are you saying? She looked at me and whispered, I think that Letitia lied. I think Anna didn't drown. I think she did something I couldn't tell me, something that, even dying, she didn't have the courage to admit. Pause. And when Lucas saw that certificate, when he read the dates, when he saw the name of the hospital, when he saw the photos, she stopped. The voice trembled. He asked me, Mom, did you know? And I couldn't answer, because the truth is that I always knew, I always suspected, but I never wanted to investigate. I never wanted to go after. Why didn't you investigate? I asked, feeling my throat tighten. She closed her eyes. Because if I discovered the truth, I would have to admit that I delivered my daughter for someone who, maybe, it didn't end. But I understood. I understood perfectly. And Lucas, what did he do when you didn't answer? She opened her eyes. Red, empty. He started screaming. He said I was a monster, that I had killed Anna, that I knew, and that had let it happen. Pause. And then he said he was going to tell the police. That was going to show the tests. That was going, surrender. She took a deep breath. And that's it. That I panicked. That I locked him in the basement. I felt a cold climb through the spine. But if he only saw the tests, why can't you let him leave? She looked at me and whispered something that froze my blood. Because he not only saw the evidence, priest. He investigated while I was in the basement, in the early days, when I still had the cell phone. Pause. He discovered something I didn't even know, about the hospital, about Letitia, and about other children. I felt the world crumble. Other children? She nodded slowly. Lucas told me, before I took his cell phone, that there were more certificates, more photos, more names, and that, she stopped, treated, and that Anna, maybe you didn't die, maybe she was sold, and Letitia, maybe it wasn't the only one involved. She got up, tremula. Tomorrow, I tell the rest. What Lucas discovered, and why he can't get out of that basement. Never, because if he leaves. She stopped at the door and whispered, it's not just me that I'm going to fall, priest. They are many people, powerful people, and me. I don't know if he's still alive down there, and left, leaving only the silence and the unbearable weight of the truth, which had not yet been totally told, but that already haunted me. She came back, for the 3rd time, 9 at night, but this time, something was different. She didn't go slowly, it didn't drag the steps. She ran. I heard the church door knock, the quick steps, desperate, and when she entered the confessional, it was panting, sweaty, as if I had run away from something, or someone. She threw herself on her knees. It didn't kneel, played, as if the legs couldn't stand it anymore. Through the grid, I saw her face, completely undone, hair stuck to the forehead, wide eyes, red, not crying, of terror. Father, he knows. The voice came out broken, hoarse. He discovered everything. My heart accelerated. Who knows, your husband? She shook her head. No, Lucas. He knows much more than I imagined. I leaned forward. What are you talking about? She cleared her face with her hands. Tremendous. In the early days, when I locked him in the basement, I hadn't taken his cell phone yet. I thought he was going to calm down, that on a few days, he would understand, that I could explain. Pause. But he didn't calm down. He investigated, used the cell phone, researched, and found out things I didn't even know. I felt a cold climb through the spine. What did he find out? She closed her eyes. Everything, father. He discovered everything. The hospital that appeared on Anna's death certificate, Lucas researched and found that he was closed 8 years ago for serious irregularities. Trafficking in children. My blood froze. What? She nodded, slowly. The hospital. It was a facade. They made clandestine births, registered babies with false names, and then they sold. For families they paid. Rich families, who could not or did not want to adopt legally. She took a deep breath, and Letitia, my cousin, she was not just a desperate mother. She worked with them. I felt nausea. I tried to sue what I was hearing. Letitia, the cousin who received Anna, he was not a victim, it was accomplice. Did you know that? I asked with a voice almost disappeared. She shook the head. No, I swear not. I thought I was helping her. That was giving Anna to someone who was going to love. Pause. But Lucas, he found records, old reports, processes, and the name of Letitia appeared as an intermediary. She looked at me. Anna was not the only one, priest. There were others, many others. I tried to breathe. How many? She swallowed dry. Lucas said, who found at least 12 cases, 12 children, all young mothers, no money, without support, women like me. Pause. Letitia was looking for these women, offered help. He said he knew good families, that were going to take care. And then I delivered the children to the hospital, and they did the rest. I felt the overwhelming weight of it. And Anna? She closed her eyes. Lucas found photos on Letitia's cell phone, photos she had kept, and in one of them, Anna was with another woman, not Letitia, a woman who Lucas recognized. My heart fired. Who was it? She opened her eyes and whispered. The delegate's wife. Silence. Absolute. Heavy. Suffocating. The delegate from the city? She nodded. Yes, the same that coordinated the search for Lucas. Same as that is at my house every week, talking to my husband, giving support, pretending to care. Pause. And his wife is creating Anna as if it were a biological daughter, with false certificate, with a different name, and nobody knows. I felt the world crumble. And Lucas, what did he do when he found out? She cleared her face. He showed me everything, the photos, the documents, the reports, and I said I was going to report it. That was going to take everything to the press. That would destroy everyone. Pause. The delegate, his wife, Letitia, I, and all the other people involved. She trembled, and I panicked, because if it came to light, she stopped. It took a deep breath. It wouldn't be just prison, priest, it would be death. I frowned. Death? She nodded. The delegate, he has connections with dangerous people who leaves no witnesses. Pause. Lucas told me he found cases of women who tried to speak, who tried to denounce, and that they disappeared or died in accidents. She looked at me with eyes full of terror. If I let Lucas leave, if he speaks, they will kill him, priest, and will kill me and maybe even my husband, just to ensure. I felt the air miss. So, you're saying you keep your son stuck to protect him? She closed her eyes, and when it opened, there was only, empty. I don't know anymore, Father. In the beginning, it was protection. I swear. I just wanted time to think, to find a solution, to make him understand that he could not speak. Pause. But now, she stopped. The voice disappeared. Now, I don't know if it's still protection, or if it's just fear. Fear of losing everything. Fear of dying. Fear of, admit that I destroyed my own daughter, and now, I'm destroying my son. How is he now? I asked, with a tight throat. She was slow to answer. He doesn't talk anymore. It's been 2 weeks. I go down. I leave the food and he doesn't even look. Stay lying down, aside, looking at the wall. Pause. Sometimes, I call his name. Lucas, look at me. But he doesn't answer. It is as if I had given up of everything. She cleared her face. And I don't know what else to do, because if I let him leave, he dies. But if I continue, she stopped. He will die too, only inside. Or maybe, you are already dead. I couldn't hold back anymore. My daughter, you can't continue like this. This is not protection. This is torture. She shook her head. I know, Father. But what do I do? If I let him leave, they find out and kill him. If I'm going to the police, who will believe it? The delegate is the boss. He controls everything. Pause. There is no way out. There is nothing I can do except continue and wait. Wait for what? I don't know. Maybe that he forgets, or that, may God have mercy and take him out of me. Somehow, I felt a shiver. You're saying, do you want him to die? She didn't answer, just stayed there, in silence. And then, whispered, sometimes, when I go down, I want to find him. Stopped, cold, without breathing, because it would be easier. Pause. I could pretend I didn't know, that he fled, who was never in the basement, and it would end. This pain, this weight, this guilt. She looked at me. Am I a monster, Father, for wishing the death of my own son? I couldn't answer. Why not? There was an answer. Just silence and wait. Does he still have the cell phone? I asked, trying to change the focus. She shook her head. No, I took it. 2 days later, when he slept. Pause. But he had backup, submitted everything to an email that I don't know. She trembled. He told me that. On the last day I spoke to me, he said, if I don't get out of here, someone will know. And I asked who, and he just smiled, a smile, empty, and said, you'll find out. I felt the heart accelerate. So, is there anyone who can have the tests? She nodded. Perhaps. Or maybe he was bluffing, trying to scare me, for me to let him leave. Pause. But I can't risk it. I can't let him leave, because if he spoke the truth, if anyone knows. She stopped. So it's not just me that I'm in danger. They are, all of us. My husband, my mom, and Lucas. Especially Lucas. Because if the delegate finds out he knows, it didn't end. I didn't need to. Or she got up, slowly, as if each muscle gives it. Tomorrow, I tell the last part. What I'm planning to do. Pause. Because I can't take it anymore, priest. I can't stand it, living like that. Looking at him, seeing him define, knowing that I did it. She stopped at the door and whispered something that froze my blood. I think I'll have to choose between saving him or save to me, and I already know what my choice will be. She left, and for the first time, I was afraid. Fear of what she would do, fear of what I had just heard, and especially fear that when she came back tomorrow, it was too late. 9 at night. I waited, sitting in the confessional, as in the previous 3 days. The candles of the altar were already lit, the ship empty, the silence heavy, but she didn't come. I stayed there for 2 hours, waiting, listening to each noise, every wind knocking on the door, each creak of the old wood, each rustle of leaves outside. But she didn't show up, and for the first time, I was afraid. Fear of what that silence meant, fear of what she could be doing at that very moment. Internal reflection, weight of silence. I left the confessional at 11 at night. I locked the church, and I went home, but I couldn't sleep. I was lying down, looking at the ceiling, listening to the clock on the wall, every second, each minute, thinking of Lucas, in the basement, alone, 6 months ago, without light, hopeless, no future, thinking about Anna, the child who was delivered, sold, registered with false name, deleted from the story, as if it had never existed, and thinking about her, in the mother. That carried such a big weight, that even God seemed enough to relieve, like the confessional, I could contain, sensory description, father's anguish. I spent the night trying to understand, how does a mother reach this point? How does someone lock one's own child, and continues, day after day, going down those stairs, at dawn, leaving food, water, pretending that it was acceptable, normal, necessary. I had heard a lot of confessions over the years, passionate crimes, family betrayals, thefts, lies that destroyed lives, terrible sins, but that was different, because it was not a unique act, a moment of madness, a mistake. It was a continuous choice, renewed, every dawn, with each descent ladder, with each locked door, every second that passed. Dawn growing weight. When the sun was born, I had not slept, just got there, thinking, praying, trying to find some answer, some way, but there was not. There was nothing I could do. The confidentiality of the confessional is sacred, absolute, unquestionable. What is said there, dies there, even if it donates, even if you burn, even if destroy. And me, I was stuck in that silence, as much as Lucas was stuck in that basement. 5th night, she comes back. The next day, 9 in the night, she returned, but it was not the same woman. There was something broken, definitely broken. She went slowly, without running, without despair, no hurry, just empty, as if you had made a decision, and now was at peace with her, or resigned, or beyond good and evil, beyond guilt. Besides all, visual description, physical transformation. She knelt. I observed through the grid. The face was different, calmer, but it was the wrong calm, the calm of those who gave up, whose accepted the inevitable. The eyes, dry, no tears, no emotion, just empty, like 2 holes, 2 wells without background. She didn't hold her third. It didn't squeeze my hands, just stayed there, still, like a statue. Father, I made a decision. The voice came out low, firm, frighteningly firm, as if rehearsed, or as if I didn't feel anything anymore. Initial dialogue, the decision. I felt the heart accelerate. What decision? She took a deep breath. I can't go down those stairs anymore. Look at him, see what I did, see what he became. Pause. So I stopped. I frowned. I felt a cold climb through the spine. Did you stop? She nodded, slowly, It's been 3 days. 3 days I don't go down. I don't take food. I don't take water. No, I don't see him. Just, I leave him there. My blood froze. Are you letting him die? She did not respond immediately, just stayed there, in silence, looking forward, nowhere, and then whispered, I don't know if he's still alive, Father. Maximum voltage. Final confession. What do you mean you don't know? She closed her eyes. I don't have the courage to go down, to open the door, and see. Pause. Because if he's alive, I will have to continue. Keep lying. Continue hiding. Continue destroying it. Destroying me. Destroying everything. But if he is, she stopped. It took a deep breath. If he's dead, it is over. Everything is over. The pain, the fear, the guilt, all. I couldn't speak. Just, I looked at her, trying to understand, trying, process. And you, do you want him to be dead? She opened her eyes and looked at me directly. For the first time, clearly. I don't know what I want anymore, Father. I just know. I can't take it anymore. I can't stand carrying it. I can't take it to be that. Final revelation, no return. My daughter, you need to go there. You need to see. She shook her head. No, if I go, and he's alive, he will beg, will ask to leave. Go, will look at me, and I won't make it. Pause. But if I let him leave, they will kill him. The delegate, the people involved in the scheme, they will erase him, as they erased Anna, as the other children erased. She took a deep breath. So, it's better that way. Better than him, that he goes, in silence, without pain, without seeing who I became, unknowingly, how far I was able to go. Father's reaction, moral limit. I felt something break inside me. This is not protection. This is murder. She didn't deny it, did not try to justify, just nodded. I know, and I will carry it, forever, until the day I die, and even later, maybe. Pause. But, it's the only way out, because if he leaves alive, he dies in their hands, tortured, deleted, and I die too, and my husband, and maybe other innocent people. She looked at her own hands, but at least, if so, he dies, protected, far from them, far from everything, no prolonged pain, without betrayal. Father faces the dilemma. I tried to find words, something that could change that, some argument, some way out, but there was not. There was nothing I could say, because she was right, in a way horrible, distorted, inhuman, but right. If Lucas left, he would die, in the hands of the delegate, tortured, silenced. If you stayed, he would die, alone, forgotten, in the dark. There was no way out, just bad choices. And she had chosen less visible, the most silent. What, somehow twisted, she thought it was mercy. Last confession, the final weight, Father. I didn't come here to ask for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I know God cannot acquit this. I know I'll pay, in this life or the other. Pause. I came, so someone knows. So, when everything is over, when they find him, when they pretend it was an accident, she stopped. Someone knows the truth. Even if you can never count. Even if, die with me. And now with the Lord, I felt tears go up, for the first time in years. Hot, heavy. And what are you going to do? Then, she looked at her own hands, turned them, as if looking for something. Blood, maybe, or visible guilt. I'll wait, a few more days, maybe a week, until you are sure. And then, I'll find out. I will scream, call my husband, say I heard a strange noise, that I went to check, and I found him. Pause. You'll think he ran away, who hid in the basement after leaving home, who was unintentionally stuck, who tried to leave but couldn't, and that died there, alone, hungry, thirst, of despair. She took a deep breath, and I will pretend, I will cry, I will crumble, I will scream his name. I'll make everyone believe that I am also a victim, that I lost. She got up, slowly, as and each movement cost. Thanks for listening to me, priest. I needed it. I needed anyone to know. Even if you can't do anything. Even if you hate me. She stopped at the confessional door, held the doorknob, and whispered, pray for him, by Lucas, for the boy he was, not from what I did from it. Pause. And if you can, pray for me too, even knowing, maybe I don't deserve it. Maybe I'm already beyond salvation. And left, last time. The steps echoed in the ship, slowly, and then, silence. Absolute, heavy, eternal. And, a week later, I saw in the news, on the sacristy television, missing teenager found dead at home. The name, Lucas, 16 years, found in the basement of the residence itself. The police, classified as a tragic accident. He would have fled home months ago, hidden turned, entered the basement to hide, and got stuck. The door would have locked on the outside. An accident, a fatality, a tragedy, avoidable, if anyone had sought better, if anyone had heard. The delegate gave an interview in front of the house, with the yellow tape in the background. He lamented deeply. He said it was a tragedy, that sometimes, young people make incomprehensible choices, that the family was pierced, that he personally felt responsible for not finding the boy before, and the mother appeared in the background, being supported, crying, yelling, collapsed, perfect, convincing, destroyed, and no one questioned. No one investigated deeper. Why? For what? It was easier to believe in the accident than facing the truth, than to open the box, then find out what was really there. I still remember, as if it were yesterday, she trembled as she held her third in her hands. I thought I cried for a common sin, for something that could be acquitted, forgiven, forgotten. But each sentence brought more weight, each word, more darkness. And when he revealed what he did with his own son, I realized that nothing would be like before. Nothing. Because now, I carry this secret, this truth, that can never be said. You can never get out of here. I continue here, in the confessional, listening to confessions, acquitting sins, offering peace, saying that God forgives, that there is hope, that there is light. But every time someone comes in, every time I hear steps in the empty ship, I think of it, in Lucas, in the basement, in the darkness, in silence, in Anna, in the child that was sold, erased, transformed into someone else. And I wonder, how many secrets like this exist? How many truths die here, in this sacred space, protected by silence, and by the promise that nothing comes out of here? Nothing. Never. Sometimes, I wonder if I did the right thing. It should have broken confidentiality, called someone, the police, a social worker, somebody, saved Lucas. But how? If I spoke, he would die the same way. But otherwise, in the hands of the delegate, tortured, silenced, and she too, and maybe other innocent people, the husband, the grandmother, people who had nothing to do with. So, I shut up. As always I was shut up. As always I will shut up, because this is what the confessional requires. Silence, eternal, absolute, unquestionable. But the silence has a price, and I pay, all day, every night. When I close my eyes, I see Lucas, in the basement, lying down, looking at the wall, waiting, until it didn't wait anymore, and I see her, going down the stairs, last time. Or maybe, don't go down, just waiting, outside, with your hand on the doorknob, tremendous, until the silence became permanent, and then, pretending, yelling, crumbling, perfect, wakesharing. I did not acquit her, not on the last night, I couldn't, because what she did, it has no acquittal, there is no forgiveness, there is no back, but me too, I also carried, because when you hear, and do nothing, I became part of it, accomplice, by the silence, by omission, for the weight I agreed to carry, and this also has no forgiveness. Sometimes, I look at this confessional, and I realize that he is also a prison, not with locked doors, not with concrete walls, but with promises, with oaths, with sacred silences, and me, I'm so stuck here. How much Lucas was in that basement, because I can't leave, I can't talk, I can't free the truth, just load, until the end. And I wonder, how many priests, in how many churches, do you carry secrets like this? Truths that, if they were said, would destroy families, would arrest people, would save lives. But what? Rem in the confessional, because the silence, it is sacred, it is absolute, it is eternal, and we are the guardians, not of the truth, but of silence. That night, I closed the door of the confessional, I deleted the candles, I locked the church, and I went home, but the words, her words, still chase me, to this day, because some secrets do not die, they just change places, and now, the secret lives on me, live in me, breathe me, and will die with me, when my time comes, and I, finally, can confess, to someone, that maybe, nor can you do anything either, except to hear and carry, as I carried, as she carried, like Lucas. He loaded until he could no longer,